right, so I just wanted to demonstrate how we introduce pressure into the equation. So I'm going to be using the remote collar as my preferred form of pressure, in this case for Botava. And what I can't stress enough is that the dog already knows the place command. So he's been reinforced for going onto that cot after I've said place over and over and over again. So he's convinced that this is a good spot to be. He understands what the place command is already. So after we have accomplished that goal, the dog understands what place is in relation to positive reinforcement, we would then begin to introduce negative reinforcement into the equation. What you're going to notice is you're going to notice a tone signal. And what that means is that the remote collar is switched on. Just so that you guys can see clearly when the pressure comes on and when the pressure goes away. So when it comes to negative reinforcement, what we're looking to do is strengthen the behavior by creating an activation signal with the pressure, which should mean by the end of this training process, the pressure means activation into the behavior that we're looking for. And what it should do is create a bit more urgency and a bit more clarity to the dog. So I should mention too that Botava is working at like 4, maybe 5, between 3 and 5 at this level. That is his activation level. And that's 3 to 5 out of 100, you guys. So it's very, very low. There's no pain at this level of remote stim. Place. 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 Some things that I should point out here is I want you to be mindful of the leash. You notice that I'm leaning forward as he's going because the last thing that I want is for him to hit the end of the leash before he gets to the place board. That will really confuse the dog and set you back a couple of repetitions. The other thing that I want to point out is that I am switching the pressure off the moment the dog has the intention of moving towards the place board. Okay, and if your dog demonstrates, well, it'll look like laziness, but really what sometimes happens is dogs, after they figured it out, they want to see if there's a faster way to get the reward. So they will move to the place board, and then they won't finish all the way. They'll turn around to take food from you before they get all 4 feet on the place board. Some of the adjustments you should make if that happens is first, be prepared to turn the remote stim back on if they stop between the point they choose to go to the place board and the time that they're actually on the place board. If they stop anywhere in between, just be prepared to turn the stim back on. Something else to be intentional with is do not click unless start to click a little bit later, meaning instead of in the beginning you may click right away, like once the dog has 2 feet on, you're clicking and you're pulling him out of it. What you may want to do is wait for a second after the dog has settled onto the place board, then click to pull him out of the behavior. And if things get really bad, you could always do a couple of state and behavior markers instead of the click. So the dog's on place, you mark with good, and you actually bring him food just to settle him down in the position a bit more, and then go back to the click. Place. 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 So that was a really beautiful repetition. Why? Because I have trained him already on down in relation to the E-stem, specifically stay in behavior down with the E-stem. So he knows that if he feels the E-stem when he's in the down, to go into the down even harder. And that's been in order to strengthen the down. So that was him like shuffling his steps. Like normally the harder I push into the down, that's what takes the stem away. So if that's not working, let me try to like move a little bit in the down. That didn't work for him. So then he tries to put his head on the ground, and that didn't work for him. So eventually he does try the next thing, which is what I wanted originally, move to place. And the other thing that you could do to reduce confusion is don't start the repetition when the dog is in the down. Wait for him to be in the stand. I don't really mind at this stage because it's early enough on where I know that eventually he was going to try to be more efficient by going into the down instead of moving to the place. So eventually I'm going to have to address it. So I don't mind doing it there personally, but I would prefer that if it's your first time using the remote collar and you're teaching your dog down, and you're teaching the dog what the remote collar means in relation to place, that you start each repetition with the dog standing. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the dog to, before you even get a chance to say place, he's demonstrating competency. He's already moving to the place board at the signal, at the sensation, at the arrival of the sensation of the E-stimulus. Free, come on. Place. Things to pay attention to, you guys, is obviously this is activation level stimulation, so we're not wanting him to be upset or stressed. You can tell this dog is happy, bouncy, he's not upset or stressed. He's not experiencing, that was good. He's not experiencing any, distress at the moment. This is all learning. This is only to strengthen the behavior, not to suppress him. Place. Good dog. So pretty soon what I'm going to start to do is add a little bit more distance and time, and eventually I will start to add competing stimuli. Well done, bud. And I will also begin to change the setup. My preference is that in the beginning, you start with the dog standing and where he can see both you and the place board, like so, where you kind of have this triangle. I would rather you not start your repetitions off where the dog is between you and the place board, such that you're sending him behind, you're sending him backwards from his point of view. I want the pointy end of the dog to be facing the place board and to where he can also see you. Place. But once you've got that part down, you're having a lot of success, then you can start challenging him more by mixing up the orientation, mixing up his orientation in relation to the place board. Place. See, this is more difficult for him. Now, what's really important is that you do not switch off that E-stem, okay? Do not switch off that remote collar sensation unless he is committed to moving towards the place board. Because otherwise what you'll be doing is you'll be showing him there's more than one way to turn that pressure off, and it will confuse him. We want to work session by session from one behavior to the next in completion. So first we have to complete this behavior in relation to the E-stem before I move on to recall or adding multiple cots. Please. Huh. So I've got a little bit of an ear flick there. So I'm going to go down on my level. I'm still at 4. Maybe the receiver moved on his neck a little bit and found a more sensitive spot. So I'm going to go down to 3. Again, be mindful of your leash. Place. Looks like I need to go down even more, so I'm going down to 2 now. Place. Place. And last repetition, I'm gonna make it a hard one. Place. Beautiful, good job, bud.